You feel behind. You feel like the clock is sprinting and you're stuck in wet cement. But listen, you're not behind. You're just waking up while others are still asleep. This isn't confusion. This is clarity breaking the surface for the first time. It's not that you're lost. It's that you finally stopped pretending the old map fits the new you. The pain you feel isn't punishment. It's pressure, the kind that creates identity diamonds. You were trained to survive the day, not to rise and command your life. That's why everything in you feels like a fight right now. Because one identity is dying and another one is being born. You were handed a formula. Fit in, stay safe, follow the rules. But that formula was designed to cage you, not crown you. And now your soul is screaming for more. This is the war zone most never talk about. The silent war between who you were told to be and who you actually are. Every time you doubt yourself, it's not weakness. It's the old wiring short-circuiting under a new frequency. You're not broken. You're building. You were raised in systems that rewarded sleepwalkers. But you're starting to see. That's why people don't get you right now. You're no longer speaking the language of limitation. They say you're changing. Damn right you are. Because staying the same is the most dangerous decision you could ever make. Let's tell the truth. You were never designed for average. You were never built to fit inside someone else's blueprint. But nobody told you the price of waking up was shedding the old self. You can't keep wearing expired identities. They itch, they tear, they hold you hostage in a life that doesn't feel like yours anymore. So what do? You stop running from the mirror. You stare it down. You say it out loud. This isn't who I am anymore. You drop the storyline that says you're behind. You rip up the mental script that says you missed your shot. You haven't missed anything. You've just arrived at the door of your actual life. The old you was built for survival. This version, it's built for dominance. You don't need more time. You need more truth. And here it is. Every minute you spend regretting your past is a minute stolen from the identity that's trying to be born. You don't fix the old story. You replace it with a new standard, with a new level of self-respect, with an identity that doesn't flinch under pressure. That version of you exists, not in some distant future, but in this breath, right now, when you decide to stop negotiating with hesitation. This is the moment you stop playing mental ping pong with your potential. You've been overthinking because your mind is trying to solve a future problem using a past identity. But the future doesn't belong to the old you. The future is reserved for the one who's willing to think differently, move differently, be different. Napoleon Hill said it best, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But here's what they forget to tell you. Your mind can't believe what you don't repeat, and what you repeat becomes your reality. So if all you repeat is self-doubt, hesitation, and regret, then your subconscious becomes a prison. But if you repeat command, power, identity, you turn your subconscious into a weapon. This is no longer about hustle. It's about headspace. It's about locking in a mental operating system that doesn't wait for evidence, it creates it. You don't need more motivation. You need new identity software. And the update starts now. Delete, I'm not ready. Install, I decide who I am today. Delete, what if I fail? Install, I only fail if I stop. Delete, I'm lost. Install, I'm waking up. This is the mental reboot. This is the line in the sand. This is your internal declaration of war against everything that ever made you doubt your own power. And I know, it feels lonely. You don't see the results yet. People around you don't get it. They're still speaking survival. But you're here learning how to speak self-command. You've been told to stay humble. But right now, humility looks like honoring the call to more. Your future doesn't need your apology. It needs your authority. The people who said you were too intense, too deep, too much, they were just too asleep. And you're finally awake enough to choose. So let me say this to the part of you still holding on to the doubt. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're not late. You're early to the version of you that refuses to settle. The world trained you to delay your greatness, to water yourself down, to dim the fire. But fire doesn't ask for permission. It takes over. This is the reset. Not tomorrow. Not after more research. Not when you feel ready. Now. So say it with your chest. I'm not lost. I'm waking up. I'm not broken. I'm building. I'm not late. I've just arrived. Let your body feel it. Let your identity absorb it. Because from this moment forward, you don't move like who you used to be. You move like who you decide to become. Say it out loud and move like it's done. Your subconscious doesn't care what's true. It only listens to what's repeated. Let that settle. Because this isn't about motivation. This is about programming. And most people, they've been programmed to doubt themselves repeatedly. They say things like, I never finish what I start. I'm not a morning person. I always mess it up. Say that enough times, and guess what? The subconscious makes it law. But here's the truth. They never taught you in school. You are the architect of your own inner courtroom, and every repeated sentence becomes a final verdict. That's why we don't play with our words. Not anymore. Your mind is a machine. It doesn't filter right from wrong. It filters repetition from neglect. Whatever you affirm often, good or bad, becomes your belief system. And your belief system becomes your identity. And identity, that's the autopilot of your life. So what's been running your autopilot lately? Doubt? Fear? Comparison? Waiting on someone to give you permission to change? Then listen close, because this is where it all flips. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a repeated phrase. You need a loop that doesn't break until your belief system bends. Napoleon Hill called it autosuggestion, and it wasn't just theory. It was a weapon. Henry Ford used it. He told himself, obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. He didn't just believe in the Model T. He installed the belief. Edison? He failed 10,000 times before the light bulb. But in his mind, each failure was another brick in his inner fortress. And Charles Schwab, he made steel companies rise like empires because he believed in leadership before anyone gave him the title. They all understood something most people miss. Your thoughts create blueprints, and your subconscious, it builds what it's handed. Hand it weakness, it builds excuses. Hand it identity, it builds momentum. So right now, we go back to the foundation, and we lay down the mental bricks. Say this: I am not who I was. I am who I decide to become. Say it again, louder. Let it echo through your nervous system. Now say, my results do not define me. My repetitions do. That's how you engineer belief. That's how you wire an unstoppable self-image. Not with hype, with habitual command. You don't wait to believe. You decide to believe. And then you repeat that belief until your body forgets the old story. There is no magic in change, but there is magic in repetition. People say, affirmations don't work. That's because they whisper it once and forget it. But Napoleon Hill wrote affirmations so strong, so vivid, so constant, they became his second nature. He wrote down who he was becoming, not just once, but daily, until his mind submitted to a new identity. This is belief warfare, and your enemy isn't the world. It's the internal echo of old programming. So how do you break the echo? You drown it. You override it with a new dominant frequency. That's where the power is. Not in wishing, in wiring. Here's the blueprint. Step 1. Decide your identity, not your goals, your identity. I am a finisher. I am a builder. I am a creator. Step 2. Speak it out loud. Every morning, every night, every time doubt shows up like an old habit. Step 3. Write it. Ink it until your brain knows you're serious. Step 4. Repeat until reality submits. Not once, until. Because your subconscious doesn't have a calendar. It doesn't get tired. It just waits. And the louder voice always wins. So if doubt is louder than decision, you stay stuck. But when your declarations get louder than your hesitation, you move. This isn't just about positive thinking. This is about precise speaking. Words are commands, and your brain is the executor. So stop saying I'm trying. Say I've decided. Stop saying someday. Say it starts now. Stop saying I hope. Say I build. I create. I become. You want to know why most people never change? They don't repeat change. They repeat excuses. Excuses feel familiar, but they cost identity. And right now, you're paying with your peace, with your time, with your potential. So we flip the switch. You're not too far gone. You're one dominant thought away from a new trajectory. That's how fast it turns. One belief, repeated relentlessly, can crack open a brand new timeline. You want to change your life. Speak the new life into yourself, not with volume, with consistency. Autosuggestion is your daily battle cry. You don't wake up and wait to feel ready. You wake up and remind yourself who you already are. Because here's the truth. You don't need confidence. You need conviction. Confidence can fade, but conviction is built with repetition, reinforced with action, and powered by decision. This is where the fake voice dies. This is where the inner critic gets overruled. This is where you take the wheel. So say it, I direct my mind. I rewire my belief. I dominate my day. Say it again, and again, and again, until doubt doesn't recognize you anymore. That's how you move from hoping to knowing, from trying to deciding, from dreaming to building. Say it daily. Write it nightly. Live it ruthlessly. Because belief isn't something you wait for. It's something you repeat until it rewires you. Now speak your identity out loud and walk like it's already built. You cannot serve two identities. One must die. That's not poetry, that's precision. You can't keep one foot in the old life and expect the new one to carry you. The bridge must burn, and it must burn loud, because commitment isn't soft. It's not romantic. It's not cute. It's ruthless. It's violent. It's a death sentence to the lesser version of you. Most people never rise because they keep negotiating with the version of themselves that never wanted to grow. Let me make this plain. Your transformation is not a group project. The old version of you doesn't get a vote. Either you rise now or you keep waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. And I'll tell you the truth they avoid. Change is not hard. Indecision is you're not tired. You're just undecided. You're not stuck. You're just dragging dead weight from your past into your future. You keep saying, what if it doesn't work? And I'm saying, what if that version of you isn't even supposed to survive this season? This is the law. You do not leave a back door open and expect your future to walk through the front. Burn the bridge. That's what Cortez did when he landed on the shores of Mexico. 600 men, no backup. He ordered the ships burned. No retreat, no way home. That's not insanity, that's identity. He knew, when retreat is no longer an option, forward becomes the only direction. So I'm asking you now, what do you need to burn? The fallback plan, the safe job you hate, the relationship that shrinks you, the identity that plays small and calls it realistic? You say you want change, but your energy says you're still entertaining the option of being average. And here's the truth. You don't get elite results with casual decisions. At some point, you stop dipping your toe in. You jump. You go all in. You burn the script. And you say, I'm done apologizing for taking myself seriously. Listen, you're not lost. You're just halfway in. You haven't committed because commitment hurts. It costs comfort. It costs the applause of the crowd you outgrow. But what it gives back, that's freedom. Real freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's becoming who you decided you were, and not letting anything interrupt that decision. Napoleon Hill interviewed the world's greatest builders, and every single one of them had this in common. They decided, and then they burned the bridge back to who they were. Andrew Carnegie, he was 12 when he started working in a cotton factory, but he decided he wasn't going to die in one. He wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the smartest, but he made the decision, and he never looked back. No fallback. No exit strategy, only one direction, forward. You've got to get militant about your identity, not hopeful, militant. No more, I'll try. No more, maybe next year. No more, let me see how it goes. If your decision has conditions, it's not a decision, it's a negotiation, and your future does not negotiate. So here's your call to war. Say this out loud. I don't negotiate with the old me. I have already decided. Say it again, louder. I've already decided. This isn't for the version of you that needs a pep talk. This is for the one that's ready to bury the comfort zone. If you don't kill the old script, It will keep calling you, and it sounds familiar. It sounds like rest. It sounds like reason. But it's a lie, because nothing is more exhausting than staying stuck in a life you've already outgrown. You are not here to blend in. You are here to become. That means cut the backup plan. Delete the phone numbers that keep pulling you back. Say no to the good, so you can say yes to the great. Burn the bridge. Light it yourself. Watch the flames and walk forward with no regret. This is where you make your power irreversible. From this moment, your energy shifts. Not someday, right now. Say this: I do not hesitate. I do not retreat. I do not explain my hunger to the uncommitted, because the next level of your life is not waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to commit with no return ticket. You can't fly while gripping the exit door. You can't build while looking over your shoulder. There's no version of you that's great and safe. There's only one you that gets remembered. And that version made the decision once and never questioned it again. So here's the final command. Say it loud until it becomes the only voice in your head. I've already decided. The old me is gone. I do not go back. I do not pause. I do not negotiate. Say it louder. Say it until your bones know it. I've already decided. This is who I am now, and I burn every bridge that tries to pull me back. Let the world feel the shift. Let your habits feel the fire. This is no longer a try. This is the identity. This is the blueprint. This is the standard. You've already decided. Now move like it. You don't just become who you decide to be. You become who you surround yourself with. And if you're not careful, your environment will rob you of your evolution. Energy is contagious. Doubt spreads like wildfire, and your dreams can die from secondhand small thinking. So ask yourself, who's shaping your atmosphere? Because proximity is power, and too many people keep genius in their heart, but weakness in their circle. It's not just about what you believe, it's about what the people around you normalize. Do they talk dreams or distractions? Do they build or just blend in? Do they pull you forward or drag you back to comfort? The truth? If your surroundings don't stretch you, they'll strangle you. Napoleon Hill knew this. He called it the mastermind principle. A group of aligned minds, all moving toward purpose, multiplies your power beyond what you can do alone. He wasn't just being poetic, he was scientific. When two or more minds harmonize around a purpose, they create a third, invisible force, an energy field greater than either could produce individually. That's not motivation, that's math. So if you've been feeling low energy, unclear, distracted, maybe it's not you, maybe it's your field, because your atmosphere is a frequency, and you will always rise or fall to match it. This is not the season to be casual with your circle. This is the season to curate your climate. And here's the hard truth. Some people love the version of you that doesn't change, because when you evolve, you expose everything in them that's been asleep. So they'll mock you, distract you, make it a joke, because your growth reminds them of their delay. But you weren't born to shrink to their comfort. You were born to align with fire. So here's your command: audit your environment. Every conversation is either planting power or stealing it. Every room is either watering your purpose or draining it. You don't get to be casual anymore. You don't get to say it's just a friend, because nothing is just when your destiny's on the line. And don't mistake history for alignment. Just because someone knew the old you doesn't mean they deserve access to the becoming. This is sacred. This is war. You're not just building goals, you're building identity. And identity requires insulation. Think of Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb in a room full of doubters. He surrounded himself with a team that believed, even when the world laughed. That's the mastermind. That's environmental acceleration. You don't rise alone. You rise with aligned minds. People who speak goals like they're facts. People who remind you who you are when your own voice shakes. People who challenge your excuses like an enemy. If they don't feed your mission, they don't get a seat at your table. And I don't mean you hate them. I mean you elevate past them, because your life moves in the direction of your dominant conversation. So let me ask you, what are you rehearsing every day in your atmosphere? Is it vision or limitation? Is it conviction or convenience? Because whoever you rehearse with, you become. Here's what you do now. You build your mastermind circle. And it's not about how famous they are, it's about how aligned they are. Even two people committed to a shared vision can become a multiplier of movement. That's what Hill found. That's what Carnegie used. That's what every empire was built on. Minds in harmony. So from now on, your filter is strict. No access without alignment. This is your new standard. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere. Say it again. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere. Because you can't outdream your daily environment. You can't outrun low-frequency influence. You can't keep planting greatness in soil soaked with fear. You must protect the field. This isn't about being better than anyone. It's about being faithful to your future. And that means cutting off anything that dilutes your direction. If they always make you second guess, if they never celebrate your growth, if they pull you into gossip, doubt, or distraction, they go. And when you start doing this, you'll feel it. Your energy returns. Your clarity sharpens. Your speed increases. Because high-frequency environments don't just support you, they accelerate you. You start speaking different, walking different, deciding faster, because you're finally in a space that expects greatness. This is how identity becomes permanent, not just by saying it, but by surrounding it. So say this: I align with power. I walk with giants. I guard my atmosphere like my future depends on it, because it does. Every day, build your mastermind, even if it starts with just you and one aligned voice. One voice that refuses to shrink. One voice that rewires the room. One voice that makes mediocrity uncomfortable, because that one voice can be a multiplier, and that multiplier becomes a movement. So from now on, clean your circle, curate your energy, protect your mental oxygen like it's your last breath, because it is. The old you died in silence, but this version of you thinks louder, moves faster, decides bolder. Why? Because you're surrounded now, not by the noise, but by alignment. Say it out loud and let the world adjust. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere. I do not explain my vision to minds too small to carry it. I am the gatekeeper of greatness, and my circle reflects it. You're not being harsh, you're being honest. And when you get serious about your environment, the universe gets serious about your elevation. Let your circle stretch you. Let your presence command alignment, and let your environment become your advantage. This is how the greats move. This is how power multiplies. This is how you become unrecognizable. You weren't built to meet expectations. You were built to exceed them. Every time, every room, every opportunity. You were never average. You were never meant to just do enough. That feeling in you, that burn to do more, give more, become more. It's not noise. It's your original setting. But the world doesn't reward the ones who wait. It rewards the ones who over-deliver. Not because they want attention, but because it's who they are. You're not here to clock in and check out. You're here to stamp your identity on every action. Let them talk. Let them wonder why you stay late. Study more. Go harder. Let them say you're doing too much. Because the truth is, you've stopped performing for applause and started living from identity. That's the difference. That's the lock-in. You don't give more because they ask. You give more because it's coded into you. This is the law of over-delivery, and it's one of the hidden laws of the high performers. Most people do what they're told. The successful do what's expected. But the great, the ones who shift history, they do more than necessary. Not once, not when they feel like it, but as a standard. And the moment you stop keeping score, the universe starts keeping it for you. Because when you detach from outcome and focus on identity-based excellence, you unlock overflow. Let me make it clear. You don't over-deliver to get something. You over-deliver because that's who you are now. It's not a tactic, it's a truth. That's why Charles Schwab went from steel worker to steel tycoon. Not because he knew the formulas, but because he embodied excellence. Andrew Carnegie said Schwab was one of the few who delivered energy, clarity, and action, all without being asked. That's why he rose. That's why he ruled. Not because he begged for promotion, but because he became unignorable. You've got to reach that place. where your output becomes evidence, where people can feel your identity before you speak it. That's the zone where over-delivery becomes invisible, because it's no longer extra, it's just you. And that's when life starts bending in your favor, because you're no longer chasing reward, you're walking in alignment. This isn't hustle, this is standard. Ford didn't build an empire by meeting expectations. He broke every rule, simplified the impossible, delivered beyond what was imagined, because he wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was expressing who he already believed. So ask yourself, are you waiting for proof to act like the person you claim to be? Or are you building proof with every move you make? Because the shift happens when you stop asking, what do I get if I do this? And start living from, what do I become if I do this? Read that again. Let it cut through your excuses. The moment you start doing more for no reason but identity, you begin shaping reality. You don't just show up to work, you make that room magnetic. You don't just turn in a task, you stamp it with your name like it's royalty. You elevate everything you touch, because when you walk in that energy, over-delivery isn't a strategy, it's your signature. This world is starving for people who operate like this, people who lead when no one's watching, people who clean the details no one notices, people who bring light into a room not because they want credit, but because they are light. You want to be remembered? Stop doing the bare minimum. Start doing the uncommon things repeatedly. No shortcuts, no delay, no compromise. Because while most people are trying to get by, you're building an empire, and empires aren't built on clocking in and out. They're built on obsession with excellence. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them label you. Because 5 years from now, they'll be asking how you did it. And the answer will be simple. I became the kind of person who always gave more, whether anyone saw it or not. That's legacy. That's unshakable. That's rare. And here's your affirmation. Say it out loud, daily, until it reprograms your breath. I exceed expectations because it's who I am. I leave everything better than I found it. I don't need recognition. I bring results. I do more, not for them, but for me. Because you're not waiting for success. You're becoming it. And becoming doesn't happen in public. It happens in those quiet moments where no one is looking. When you choose to give more, when you rewrite mediocrity, when you build your name through repetition and intensity. That's the formula. That's how legends are made. They don't show up with something to prove. They show up with something to install. That installation is identity, and your new identity over-delivers by default. So what now? You don't go back to average. You don't match the energy in the room. You set it. You don't wait for the bar to rise. You become the bar. You carry the standard that others are too scared to hold. Because now you know. Now you feel it. Now you are it. Say it again. I exceed expectations because it's who I am. Let that line become a loop. Let that loop become a law. Let that law become your normal. You're not here to blend. You're here to build. You're not here to impress. You're here to install. Because when the world looks back at what you became, they won't remember your goals. They'll remember your consistency. And your consistency will be stamped with one phrase, over-delivered, every time. Your new life isn't created by motivation. It's created by repetition. Every day, every decision, every micro move that reflects your final identity. This is the part they don't tell you. You don't rise because you feel like it. You rise because you rehearse it. Repetition is the language of the subconscious, and the subconscious builds your reality. So what does that mean? It means your breakthrough isn't a moment. It's a ritual. If you want to become unstoppable, you don't just think it. You don't just say it. You live inside it. Daily, out loud, without permission. Napoleon Hill didn't just write about faith. He installed it. He knew, when you say it, see it, walk in it. It begins to move toward you. That's not fantasy. That's neural programming. That's identity anchoring. You've already learned the words. You've already burned the bridge. You've already shifted your standard. But now, it's time to lock it in. Not once, not sometimes, every single day. Because your subconscious isn't loyal to what's true. It's loyal to what's repeated. You are what you rehearse, And most people rehearse hesitation, excuses, confusion, until it becomes their operating system. But not you, not anymore. You are now the architect. You are now the coder, and the code is this. I act like it's done. I walk like it's already mine. I am who I've decided to be. These are not mantras. These are identity loops. Loops that hardwire your faith. Loops that override fear. Loops that erase delay. Every time you wake up and speak your new name, you declare war on the old one. Every time you show up before the world expects you, you eliminate the version of you that used to wait. And every time you walk in the room with full certainty, you install a future that others can't even see. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. The people you admire didn't get lucky. They got locked in. They turned rituals into reality. They turned routines into royalty because they understood. Faith without repetition is a fantasy, but faith with repetition, that's the beginning of your reign. So here's the ritual. You don't need more information. You need confirmation. Every morning you wake up and say it. I already have what I came for. I already am who I decided to be. I don't wait, I walk. You write it, you speak it, you move in it, you don't negotiate, you declare, you don't look for signs. You are the sign. Because the second you move in certainty, the world starts catching up. The house doesn't get built by ideas. It gets built by repetition. Brick after brick, day after day, identity after identity, until the whole world is forced to say, I don't know what happened, but they changed, and they never came back. Let that be your legacy. Let that be your fire. The old version of you hesitated. The new version executes. The old version of you needed proof. The new version acts like it's done, because you finally see it. You were never lost. You were just incomplete. And now, you've remembered. You've rewritten. You've risen. There's no need to prove anything anymore. You're not performing. You're planting. And every seed you plant with faith becomes a future that cannot be stolen. So what do you do next? You live like it's done. You don't ask. You assume. You don't hope. You move. Because every time you act in alignment, you erase the old story and install the new one. And the world won't recognize you, but they'll feel you. They'll feel your calm, your conviction, your silence that says, I already decided. You're not looking for motivation. You're creating momentum, and momentum is built one ritual at a time. So don't let the world slow you down. Don't let their confusion become your question. You are not obligated to explain your transformation. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them doubt, because the ones who doubt now will be the ones quoting you later. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be unshakable. So here's your final loop. Say it daily, until your cells believe it. I don't hesitate. I build. I become. I move like it's mine. I act like it's done. Let the world wonder what changed. I don't owe them answers. I am the answer. Now breathe and move. This is your identity now. This is your crown. This is your final act. And it starts every day you repeat it. Every day you rehearse it. Until it's not just true, it's permanent.